Remember the Forgotten.
Chapter 29. A Closed Book. Aurora stood behind the bar of the Whinging Goblin Tavern, wiping down a tankard as she waited for the next customer to enter the almost empty establishment. The walls were dingy and the lighting dim, seeming to almost maliciously hold her from the beauty of the bright sun outside, which cast square shapes of light through the windows. 1 week ago, the strangest thing happened. Aurora, and all of the people around her, had inexplicably begun to remember things. Things they had forgotten. Things that they could hardly believe they had forgotten. The names of loved ones, the entire identities of friends, and even the places they called home. People's minds had been wiped of so much, and yet life had managed to go on with a strange normality. It was met with much confusion to most when the memories returned, but not to Aurora. She remembered then all that had happened, all that she had learnt. She remembered about the Forgotten, about Jade, and about the strange eye that linked them. She had remembered her friends, James, Sapphire, Samuel, Paz. She even remembered Zircon. With him, she remembered how she had almost escaped the monotony of her life, the short-lived adventure she had so treasured before the crushing weight of reality reduced it to rubble and returned her to an existence of boredom and drudgery. Even now, the weight of the betrayal anchored her, the hope and freedom he had given her now inverted and distorted into an overwhelming fear of all that lay beyond what she knew. She pondered it all, as she absent-mindedly put the cleaned flagon back on a shelf. She knew why everyone had forgotten, but she had no idea how they had all remembered. What had become of the others? Forgotten or no forgotten? Did they still remember her? She was brought back to reality as she heard the door to the tavern open, lifting her head and looking up blankly to see who it was. Inside stepped 3 faces, all of which were familiar to her. Samuel, walking ahead, a soft but sincere smile on his face as his eyes fell over the interior of the building, and behind him, James and Sapphire, the latter with her arm in a sling, talking to each other calmly as they followed along. Aurora dropped her cleaning rag onto the smooth wood of the bar top and nearly slipped on the floor as she sprinted her way around the building and towards them. "Guys!" she exclaimed, hardly aware of what to say. You did it!" Samuel smiled up at her, nodding. "Yes," he replied. "We did." Aurora, still smiling, furrowed her brow in momentary confusion. "But how come everyone remembered? I thought once the Forgotten took our memories, they were gone for good." "So did we," Sapphire answered, leaning back against the wall, a slight smile on her lips too. "I believe that when the Forgotten finally got what it was hungering for," Samuel began to explain, "it returned what it shouldn't have taken. I don't know how it did, and it raises a number of questions about what happens to the memories once they're taken, and even the nature of memories themselves. And furthermore—" James interrupted him with a cough. "I think she gets the gist, Samuel." Samuel stopped and nodded. "Right. Anyway, there's something I'm supposed to give to you." Samuel reached into his pocket, pulling out a familiar round pouch. He opened it up to reveal the shining red of a gem, and after taking a moment to let Aurora gaze upon it in surprise, he handed it towards her. The eye?" she questioned. "I thought it was stolen by that bastard Zircon. How did you get it back?" Samuel smiled sadly in reply. "You should probably have a look for yourself." Aurora gave him a puzzled expression. But, after a moment of hesitation, slowly lifted the eye up to her face. The others watched in silence as Aurora's eyes glazed over, and she stood staring into the eye for several seconds. Even though her mind was elsewhere, tears still began to flow down her face during her entrancement. And when she finally lowered the eye down, she remained silent, eyes closed and thoughts lost somewhere deep within. Eventually, she swallowed hard, managing a bittersweet smile through her tears, and then saying, to all those present, and even to those not, "Thank you." Outside, Aurora followed the others to where their horses waited, just underneath the shade of the thin splattering of trees that lay outside the small, rustic village. As James mounted his horse and Sapphire checked the packs hanging off their sides, their conversation continued. "I'm not sure what I'm going to do now," Aurora said, emotion settled, but mind still unsteady. "I can't go back home anymore, and without Zircon, I have no one left." Sapphire elbowed James in the side as he absent-mindedly adjusted the reins of his horse. He turned in annoyance, but then his gaze softened, and he looked to Aurora again. "There is one option," he said. "You could always come with us." Aurora's eyes shined with a light they had not seen for some time. "Really? I don't know how to fight or anything." "Neither did Zircon," Sapphire responded. "And he saved the world last week." A gentle smile managed itself on Aurora's face. "Plus," continued James, "there's always time to learn. We may not be quite what we used to be without Paz around, but we've now gone against foes far scarier than most people can imagine. The job of an adventurer is more than just swinging a sword. I know that now." "Then yes, absolutely," Aurora beamed. "What do I have to do to join?" Sapphire pulled herself onto her horse and reached a hand out. "Hop on. We've heard rumours of something strange blockading a mountain village up north. That's where we're headed." Aurora took Sapphire's hand and pulled herself up onto the horse. Samuel patted the large satchel at his side, where the hefty book and rope no longer burdened him, and clambered up onto James's horse. "As Paz always used to say," James grinned as the horses began to canter forward. "Adventure awaits."